But I mean, look at this. This is gonna be luscious. And of course, I've got more soup that I'm sure Chris and I are gonna be able to eat for a little bit. But at least we'll have some leftovers. So yeah. Well, hi everyone. I'm Amy Roloff, and I'm in my little kitchen. It will still be Amy Roloff's little kitchen, even though I am married now. Amy Roloff Merrick. It'll still be Amy Roloff's little kitchen. Anyway, I'm so excited to be back. It has been a busy summer planning my wedding, and so I haven't really been kind of rushing around in the kitchen and really making some really quick meals, but just not enough time to do a video on some of them. So the soup that I am making now, because we're coming into fall, and I'm really into soups and stews and casseroles and, you know, things like that, or a one pan dish kind of like. So anyway, look for some of those recipes over on my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. And so I'll be making some of those recipes. But for tonight, like I said, since it's fall, it's after my wedding, it's pumpkin season, I'm dressing up in all these crazy costumes. I thought it'd be really kind of cool to start off with what I think not an easy soup, but it's definitely a very flavorful soup. I think meatballs. I mean, this is really good. But anyway, Italian wedding soup. So that's what I'll be making today, and I hope you enjoy it if you haven't already made it. I know there's different varieties of meatballs that you could use for this. I'm not saying that this is traditional, but I like the ground chicken for the majority of the meatball. I'm also adding in ground pork. The ground pork really came from the pigs that were raised on the farm that Chris and I bought some of the pig meat. Anyway, so we're gonna make Italian wedding soup today. I thought that was very fitting because it's after my wedding. So if you hear some humming noise, I have the dishwasher going because I forgot to start it earlier today. And I also have the oven heating up, because that is how I'm going to cook my meatballs. In fact, that's really how I cook a lot of meatballs if I'm feeding a lot of people or I'm making a lot of meatballs. It's just easier just to, you know, kind of brown and bake them in the oven. I usually line this baking sheet, which I have, with parchment paper, and then put like a cookie rack, or, you know, like a cookie rack on top of it, so that whatever fat content, that will drain on the bottom, but kind of not make a whole mess on the cleanup. So anyway, we're gonna start with the meatballs. I have about a pound of ground chicken and about a pound of ground pork. Sorry about that. It's ground pork, or I would use a very mild sausage. I don't want these, you know, overpowering, but you definitely want flavor to it. And so I do have a very mild, not heavily seasoned pork sausage in this. So anyway, it's about a pound. Use a pound and a half if you're feeding a lot of people. This is just going to be Chris and I, and I'm sure we're going to be having soup tonight. We're going to be having soup tomorrow. I'm not sure a third day, but hey, I guess there's nothing wrong with leftover soup. Anyway, so to that, you know what? I forgot my garlic and my egg. So, I'm sorry. I'm going to go get that. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to move this meat over here because I forgot my garlic and my egg. So we're just going to kind of mince up some garlic here, because what's a meatball without garlic? And besides, I'm a fan of garlic. I've made this soup before lots of times. And sometimes when I've made it for a large group of people, I add in more meat, but not enough broth. And so I gotta add more broth to it, or too many. You want these really little pastas, like orzo. It looks kind of like a rice, or those, I don't know all the different names of the pasta offhand, or the little circular ones, they're really little. So any small type of pasta would really be good with this soup. So really the big piece of the soup is the meatballs, because I guess that's the main thing. So you really want them to be flavorful. So I'm just gonna peel this. Oops, I should have smashed it first, okay. Boy, if you wanna know how strong you are, I guess smash a garlic. Just gonna slice it up and then kind of mince them as best I could. So that's about 2 cloves, but I'm definitely gonna add in another one because I love garlic. And what I'm gonna do after that is, I've already cut up my celery. I'm gonna cut up maybe another small piece of carrot or 2. And you know, you kind of want, I don't know, I'll probably use close to a cup maybe. Couple of carrots, maybe about a half a cup of onions. I've really minced the onions as best I could. And I really want to mince up these garlics because when you take a bite into the meatball, you don't want to have this big chunk of garlic, not in a meatball. Maybe in something else, but not here. So one thing I'd love to know is, what are some of your favorite soups? I sometimes think some of the entree meals that we make, you can kind of make a version of a soup of it. So I'm gonna make this one soup later that I really don't like the main entree of it, but I think in the soup it'll be pretty good. So here we are, 3 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna plop them in here like that. Definitely season your meat, but if you are using any kind of sausage, you know, be careful with that, because usually the sausage meat already has some salt in it, so you don't want to make it too salty. So I don't know, probably a teaspoon or something like that. Some pepper. I'm gonna put in my egg. Okay. And then what else do I need? Oh yeah, a couple tablespoons of milk. Whoa. It's about 1, 2. All right, I got a little fork. Just gonna mix this around a little bit. And that, what else will make this meatballs really good too? I usually use dried breadcrumbs, but this time I'm gonna mix it up and use a combination of white bread crumbs, like really broken up, and mixed in with some panko breadcrumbs. And you're asking me why? Because I think the white bread will keep the meat moist, tenderized, where the panko breadcrumbs will soak up some of that flavor and keep it in the meatball. Oops. No meat will go on there anyway. Okay, now we're ready for the cheese and the breadcrumbs. I added the salt and pepper. Oh yeah, and the parsley. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribe to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there, and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. So I added some salt, pepper. We added in the egg and the garlic. We're gonna add in about, I think a half a cup, maybe a little bit more of the cheese. That'll really give it some, and this is Parmesan cheese. So I'm gonna add that all in there. Mix that in. Oh. I mean, you guys, it already smells good. Then I'm gonna add in some of the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs is, you know, maybe about a half a cup. And if you feel that your meatballs are still a little wet, go ahead and add in just a little bit more breadcrumbs. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot the parsley. And then I have the oven on about 375. And these shouldn't take too long depending on how big you make them. But I usually take about 25 to 30 minutes. Add some of that parsley. I probably should have minced it a little bit more. So now you're gonna ask me how much parsley. I would probably say at least 1/4 cup. But always go to my YouTube channel at amyroloffslittlekitchen.com and look at the recipe. Because after I make it, I go back and refine the I refine the recipe that I just did. Because I often think, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or more of that. But this is, you get the basic gist of it. I know, I cannot believe Chris and I have been married over a month already, a month and a half. I mean, I tell you, it has gone by so fast. I almost wish the actual wedding day could last 2 days to really like appreciate everyone that came to our wedding and just to talk and say hi to everyone, because there's family members that we don't get to see very often. There's even friends that we don't get to see very often that came to our wedding, and we are so, so appreciative of all that. It was a very lovely day, and I will say, hopefully you'll watch the episode when it comes out, because here I was the one that wanted us to write our vows, which I so, so cherish. Chris made me cry. Oh, it was just lovely. It was just awesome. I was just like, oh, this man. This is why you married him. Anyway, okay, let's get going to making some meatballs, getting them in the oven. And I've done a lot of the other prep, but we'll go ahead and saute the vegetables, get the broth going, and maybe the meatballs will be done by then. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, I just got done making the meatballs. Well, here, can you see these here? So I have about 40 of them. So the meat quantity should make a little, about 40. I have a little bit over 40, but you know, that's okay. If you don't want to put them in the soup, you can definitely use it for something else. And I know a lot of people use like a little little meatball or little ice cream scooper or whatever you want to call it. I just use a regular teaspoon. I don't know. I just like me being able to touch and form the meatball and stuff. So you just got to make sure though, when you're handling meat, to make sure you wash your hands with hot water, hot soapy water, before you go ahead and touch anything else. I'm sure you all know that, but I just want to let you know. Anyway, let's stick this in the oven, and like I said, it should maybe take about 30 minutes, if not a little bit longer, depending on your oven, so check it. We're gonna put these in here. these other meatballs going. So yeah. I thought I lost my timer. There we go. I'm gonna set it for 35 minutes. We'll check it at that time. So anyway, and with the leftover meatballs, if you don't use them for the soup, maybe you can make like a really nice glazed sauce and use them for an appetizer. Okay, I got my garlic in there. I'm going to use this bowl and kind of scoop that all in. All of that stuff. We'll just cut up a few more carrots here. I think I have enough, but since I have a few carrots here, I just thought I know these are little carrots because you know what? I thought I had, you know, like regular carrots, you know, the long ones and stuff, and realized that I didn't have any of that. I think Chris is trying to train me, which is probably a good thing, to kind of really use up what I have in the refrigerator instead of everything getting lost and I keep piling on new ingredients. So I figured I'll go ahead and use these carrots. They'll work. And I think most soups, depending on the soup, this is your base. This is your base. A very good broth. I don't think I've ever made homemade broth. It is a long process. I think if you did cook a chicken, a very good chicken, you can use all of that meat, part of the soup. I'm going to try my next soup that I'm gonna make, or one of these times, I'm really gonna try and recreate my grandmother's homemade chicken soup. I'm gonna talk to my cousin and stuff because we talk about it all the time and we so wish we had her recipe. That is the one thing that I enjoyed so much. At Easter time, I think we usually had it. So anyway, so here we go. I usually like my onions. Where's my onions? I usually like sauteing the carrots a little bit to get the raw taste out of it, along with the onions and the celery. I mean, it's not a necessity. You could have the broth water, you know, heat it up and cook it that way. But I don't know, I just think it adds a little more depth of flavor if the very core basics of your soup kind of get sauteed a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you guys right on over here. I think you can see me there, I hope. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil. Get that heated up. I'm even gonna add a little bit of butter. I still like a little bit of butter when I do sauteed vegetables and that. Again, I think it just adds a little depth of flavor. It's not a lot of butter. I mean, look at that. What, maybe a teaspoon or something? So we'll just get this heated up for a minute. So yep. I love my Le Creuset Dutch ovens, pots. What else? Frying pans or saute pans, just love them. Okay, I think we're gonna go, just gonna start with the carrots first. Let them saute a little bit. But I just think they take a little bit longer. Then I'll add in the onions and celery. We're gonna just drizzle a little bit of salt. Where's my pepper? A little bit of pepper. You probably can't see it in there, can you see? So I'm just gonna saute these a little bit for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Just to get that raw taste out of there before I add in the onion. Before I add in the onion and the celery. Okay, we're gonna slowly add in about, I'm gonna say probably about 10 cups of broth. And I'm using a low sodium broth because I've already added salt in here, and I think it's just a better, or no salt. I think it's just a better way to control your salt content. So that is one. Instead of that one, that's 1 cup. Let's do this one. This is 2 plus 1, that's 3. 4, 5. Oh, guess my spinach is ready. That's 5. This will be 6, 7. 8, 9. And I'm probably just gonna go ahead and just use the rest of this. So that'll probably definitely make 10 cups. Now you know why I probably overflow it. I'm hoping that my meatballs don't overflow, because I thought for sure this would be a big enough pot. We're gonna go ahead and add about a cup of wine, white wine. And I think this is, well, it's 3/4. 3/4 is good, but maybe a cup. Try a cup of white wine. I think this really adds depth of flavor, and it adds that little bit of freshness. Not quite lemon juice, but I think it definitely adds flavor to this soup. Besides, it's Italian wedding soup. So we're just gonna let this cook for a little bit, kind of cook out some of that alcohol in here, and then we'll get going. And then we will add the pasta. Okay, all I can say is that this soup is smelling pretty good right now. There's nothing more comforting than soup to me. So we are going to go ahead, the wine's in here. We're gonna go ahead and add in about, I picked orzo. We're gonna go ahead and add in about a cup of this, let it cook in the broth, absorb some of that good flavor. I'm just gonna add that to it. And it will take, I don't know, this is small pasta, so it's not gonna take that long. But I'm gonna say about, you know, maybe 8 minutes. Just keep checking it. Put a lid over it slightly. And then let it cook. I mean, soup is so easy. I think the hardest part is cutting up all the ingredients. But anyway, we're gonna let the pasta cook, and the meatballs are almost done. Okay, my pasta is done. Like I said, when you're using just such tiny little pasta, it really doesn't take that long. But what I really want to show you is the meatballs. They have turned a nice golden brown, and all of that is gonna go in here. So let's make it happen. Okay, just gonna put some of these in here. I should try one, shouldn't I? This is good. And I think, you know, if you want to use slightly bigger pasta, that's okay, but I definitely wouldn't use like a penne or something like that. The meatballs are the main star of this, and the little pasta just kind of makes it, I don't know, just something different and delicate. So I just got those meatballs out of the oven, and we are going to add a little bit of greens in here. I would normally prefer spinach, and the recipe that I give you will say spinach, but I didn't have any like I thought I did. And so I'm just using kale. I just heated that up a little bit just to kind of cook it a little bit so it's not too tough. So we're just gonna add kale to this and have that simmer in the soup a little bit. But I mean, look at this. This is gonna be luscious. And of course, I've got more soup that I'm sure Chris and I are gonna be able to eat for a little bit. But at least we'll have some leftovers. So yeah. And it's amazing how I forget how pasta cooks up. So like I said, we're just gonna let this simmer for a little bit. I'd say about 10 minutes so that everything can blend in together. So yeah, Italian wedding soup. Okay, we are done. Italian wedding soup is done. Look at all that lusciousness. Okay, it's much later than I thought to get this on the table. And Chris is hungry, I hope. So we're just gonna scoop that up. Get some of that broth. There we go. We have soup on the table. This is Italian wedding soup in Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen tonight. So go to my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. Give this recipe a try and stay warm. Anyway, thanks for joining me.